Well, everybody. Welcome in to the celebration call-in show. Our call-in shows for the first 2 weeks have fell on pretty good days. The first night, NFL draft, we ran a 3-hour show. And then today, of course, Trey Taylor committing to Nebraska after our hearts sank just a little bit. We're going to get into your thoughts on that. I'm going to drop the link down below here so that way y'all can call in and give your thoughts. In just a second. What's going on, Jackson, John, Pit Snipe, Justin? I saw a few of you in the chat on the actual video itself. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's dive into it a little bit. And Brian, first off, how you doing today?
I'm phenomenal now. Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Now, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the commitment and a little bit of scare there with the Illinois hat.
Yeah, no kidding. We were texting back and forth before the announcement. I was like, I'm recording the video now. You're making the thumbnail. And I had everything ready. I was literally sitting there ready to hit publish. And then he says, I'm staying home. And that pause for like 10 seconds afterwards, I was like, there is no effing way this just happened. Yep. Put in all that work and then it fell apart. But I'm glad there was a last second change there. Kind of toyed with us for a little bit. I thought it was funny though. It's always funny when they do that.
It was. And it was like, I feel like everybody knew that, he was going to switch, but like there was like this uncomfortableness because nobody clapped really in the beginning.
Yeah.
So there's this like uncomfortableness in the air, but I feel like one of the ways to kind of know is to like kind of look at the parents and like, sometimes they know. So sometimes you can clue into it. This one, I was fooled completely. But yeah, just nobody was clapping yet. And I feel like people started to, and then all of a sudden he tosses the hat and puts on the Nebraska hat and, went into a little bit of detail about why, talking about, he knew pretty much from early on that it was going to be Nebraska.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why it was months ago. I mean, probably 2 months ago where I was saying like, I got a feeling like Nebraska is pulling him in a different direction that no other team is pulling him. And then that visit was that last weekend, right? That last visit, like it was just kind of out of the blue. And like, everything was pointing in that direction instantly. Like at that point, you knew like he's committing, he's locked in. And this is, if you haven't watched the video we did today for the commitment video, it's so huge to get this quarterback in particular.
Yes. This
early because the peer recruiting that is going to now ensue with a national ranked national name QB, he and Dayton too. They're both going to be recruiting 26 and 27. They're going to start bringing some dudes with them. I promise you that there's going to be some dudes that come with.
Yeah. Just think about how valuable Dylan Raiola was, in peer recruiting, a lot of that class as well. So let me go ahead and dive into some of the comments here. Oh, look at those banners. Pit Snipe, I went and I, put in a little work for the show, created some banners for y'all. So yeah, I got the names under there. So I was the graphics guy for the Voice College Football. So I'm going to get on the graphics a lot more and kind of have this looking a little bit more professional. So I appreciate that. We got captions, we got scrolls, we got banners starting to look up down in here.
Yeah.
The Big Ten is turning into the new QB conference. Man, honestly, there is a plethora of young quarterbacks. And Nebraska's set for the foreseeable future with TJ, with Dayton, with Trey, and with the way they are 26, 27, 24, or 25, 26, 27. It really works out, well in regards to kind of one being able to get a little bit of experience and then, one kind of working their way hopefully towards good enough successful season where they'll, kind of go into the draft. We keep that cycle of QBs going, hopefully not lose any of them.
Yeah, they did a good job too with the spacing of it. Like I really truly think like Trey has those skills to be a guy that can come in and compete day one. And the spacing is perfectly when Dylan's leaving, Trey is coming in, Dayton's going to be in year 2, technically redshirt freshman year. TJ will be in year 2 or 3. So there's good spacing between those quarterbacks too. That's what I do like.
100%. Yep. And yeah, Garrison, shout out to him stopping in here. He is over the Voice College Football, the Ohio State show, a good friend of mine. So shout out to him for hopping in here. What's going on, man? I appreciate you hopping in here as well. Did a very good job tricking us. Even at the very end of the speech, he mentioned the first place to offer me, knowing it was Illinois. I caught that too. But I was like, I was like, maybe he meant like since the first offer he got, he already knew where he wanted to go, something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Haven't watched it yet. I'm have to. Yeah. Luckily, you didn't have to watch it real time and go through that little few seconds of stress. No, I appreciate you in here. Yeah, everybody's welcome in the stream. Everybody's welcome in the stream. But we've got to get some calls going. So if anybody wants to call in and share their thoughts, let's go ahead and drop in here. Let's go ahead and dive into a little bit of his prospect profile. Let me get rid of this comment here, and we will put our banner. Call in. Every call saves a puppy. We're not sponsored by the ASPCA. These are virtual puppies. We are not allowed to put puppies' lives on the line for the show. So virtual puppies, but still puppies nonetheless. Seeing virtual puppies perish is also sad. So, but yeah, Brian, let's go ahead and get into his prospect profile a little bit. Trey Taylor here, 24/7 Sports has him rated as a 90 rated 24 Sports, 90 rated 4-star, 24/7 Sports composite, which is the composite score of all the services together, I believe, is 98.03. Actually, is the 24/7 composite with all of theirs, right? All the combined rankings. I think that's how it works.
On 3 Rivals. I don't know if they include ESPN in theirs, and then
hopefully not. ESPN's terrible, so I doubt
terrible.
it. 35th nationally, third quarterback. It's 2 in the state of Illinois. And going to be a 5-star at some point. It's pretty much inevitable just watching him play, and then also just where he's at this point.
Yeah, his ranking is boosted a little bit on 247's composite, and that is because I believe it's Rivals that has him. I think he's ranked 30th nationally overall in their system, so it boosts his ranking a little bit. I honestly don't think On3 has completely ranked the 2027 class yet, which isn't a surprise because they
not at all
tend to be a little bit farther behind with the recruiting at the next 2 or 3 years of classes. But everything right now is pointing in the direction that this kid's going to be a consensus top 30, 40 player nationally, borderline, if not a 5-star come the actual year of 2027.
Yeah. And, some of the things that, we kind of talked about last week, and a lot of the things they mentioned were some of the things we alluded to last week and what he brings to the table. But just overall, first, his physical profile, his physical attributes, he's tall, 6'3", little slight at 180 pounds, but, going to bulk up. He's still very, very young. So, his freshman year, he was 5'11", 135 pounds. So he's already grown 6'2", 175 at his sophomore year. So he's already been growing pretty rapidly since his freshman year. So, very athletic, 4'9" in his 40, good vertical, pretty strong, 315-pound deadlift is what I was able to find, 180-pound bench press, which for his developing strength and stuff like that is a good benchmark, especially at his weight. So, he just needs to bulk up a little bit. But again, that'll happen before he even makes his way over to college. But everything with his arm, you really like to see. Really good arm strength, can make, whatever throw he really wants to on the field, whether it be short, medium, long, which is going to be really good. And, Holgerson's offense, where he wants to kind of play with those different levels, bring people down, then bring it over the top, that type of thing. Great pocket presence, super patient and like very cerebral for such a young player. Makes smart throws. Mechanically, just got to work on some things naturally. But footwork is great. The base is excellent. His feet are good. But he'll become more consistent as a passer as time goes on, and then that'll kind of be as we see him grow, mature, that we'll kind of see how quickly he's able to develop and what we can probably anticipate him doing in college.
Yeah, I don't even worry too much about his 40 time. Like, you watch the film and you can see that he plays faster than what that 40 time indicates, and that's probably you said it was a 4.9.
Well, he'll get faster. I mean, he's so young. Yeah. Like he'll that 40 time will improve a lot over the next few years. Whether when he works on explosiveness, speed, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's why I'm not terribly too worried. And he's 16. Like, that's one thing. Oh, that's my buddy Cole. You want to bring him in now?
Sure. Let's go ahead and bring in Cole. 1 second. Let me get this background off. Let me get this off. Cole, thanks for calling in, sir. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us, Cole?
Video not required. Audio a must.
Is required.
But we can look at Cole for a little bit. Flex the bicep, stunting on us a little bit. So, but
he's a Navy guy too.
We'll see. That's probably why he's having technical issues. None of us can figure out our technical issues. Is this a recent commit? Yes, it was earlier today. Trey Taylor committed to Nebraska after shunning Illinois' hat. He was also choosing between what was it? A&M, Nebraska, Illinois. What was the other hat?
Illinois, Nebraska, Texas A&M, and
I don't know why
I just drew a blank on it.
Wasn't Miami, right? I've just been talking about Miami so much lately. He's benching his body weight as a junior, seems about right now. Yeah, exactly. 100%. He's going to grow into his frame. And again, with that big jump in growth from freshman to sophomore year, we'll see he's going to continue to put size on pretty big. Point a kid, was it Michigan? Out of Illinois, and not letting go, Texas A&M, Ohio State, Notre Dame, grab him on top of the schools he already interested. Yeah, it is. It is a big recruiting win. It just shows kind of the momentum that Nebraska and Matt Rhule is kind of getting with these bigger name talents. And that's where we weren't making progress with Scott Frost. We weren't really progressing on a lot of we really weren't even in on a lot of the 5 stars, honestly. Thinking back, we really weren't. So Matt Rhule knows you can't win national championships by only developing 3 stars. You have to go land some big fish. And so, the aggressiveness, what they've done with NIL, all of that stuff is finally coming to a head, and we're starting to see it pay off with the most important position on the field at quarterback.
Yep. And yes, Michigan was his other team in his final 5, but he only had 4 hats on the table. I think he eliminated Michigan probably a couple weeks ago, and then they got that commitment from another 2027 QB. So they may have been in his top 5, but they weren't actually really being considered after a couple weeks ago.
Yep, exactly. Oh, was it LSU?
Yes, LSU. Gotcha. They were probably second. They were making a really strong push towards the end there.
It was LSU. Okay. Some of us actually had a technician in their title. Listen, being a technician in the Navy, I don't know what that.
Cole was a radar tech, actually. That's what he did, I believe.
And again, if you don't mind dropping a like on the stream, every like saves a virtual puppy. Again, Kip put real puppies on the line. So virtual puppies, let's save them, y'all. Drop a like on the stream. So we got a bowl win. Still, the staff seems consistently punch above its weight class. I just think they stuck to this is the biggest thing about this coaching staff that I appreciate. Matt Rhule in general is they stick to the program. He does not deviate no matter what college football is doing around him. And I feel like everybody tries to panic and reactively change. I feel like he just tries to see what's coming, prepare for that, does a good job of that actually. But still kind of stick to what he knows and what he does. And he doesn't panic. When the fan base is panicking, we got to go get this position. We got to go get this. It seems to find a way to work out. And I think that's the patience of this staff, knowing that this is going to be a long, slow turnaround. It's not going to be a 1 year, 2 year turnaround, and then investing, in kind of the future. And I think that's what Nebraska actually needed, is just somebody to invest in the future, not only the athletic department, NIL and everything. Because if somebody didn't do that, we would have been stuck where we were forever.
Yeah, I really like their recruiting approach. It's just very they're going to sell you on what Nebraska is, what our culture is. And I think when Damon Benning was talking on the radio the other day, he's like, we're not going to chase, or Nebraska is not going to chase. You have to meet us halfway. And if you don't, they'll move on, because they believe in their culture. They believe in their process. Mm-hmm. And that will attract the best players at the end of the day. Because money, he could be Trey could have been offered, say, $1 million from Illinois and 1.2 from Nebraska and 1.8 from LSU, right? But at the end of the day, the culture is going to be what helps drive your success. It doesn't matter if you make an extra $200K in Illinois.
Yeah, and with winning comes money. Also, just for what it's worth, Trey Taylor will be coming on the show eventually. So for those of you that didn't know that, he'll be coming on the show eventually. We're not sure if it's tonight, another day, but of course, he's probably slammed tonight with a lot of stuff. So probably didn't figure it tonight. Now. But he did say he would probably be coming on in the near future. So air traffic control, I'm going to figure this out before the show ends. So you're used to pressure. Okay, cool. Stress, yeah, lands a little different lately. All right, this night. I like how he put the joke lands a little differently lately too.
Real good.
I don't know if he was going for that double entendre there, but they ain't landing. They're definitely crashing. How many 5 stars did Osborne get this? Obviously, I don't even know if they had recruiting rankings back
Not until
in
2000.
Osborne's days. Yeah. So good. I mean, it would have been interesting to know, but probably, I mean, in terms of
Probably a
recruiting
lot.
back then, yeah, but also the development was crazy. But yeah, probably a ton of those.
Yeah.
Thoughts on On3 purchasing rivals? I mean, they're both kind of junk. So like junk and junk are going to create just more junk.
I saw Shannon Terry, the owner of On3, say like On3 is gonna. He posted on Twitter. I'll see if I can find it, but he posted saying like rivals is going to be strictly or primarily recruiting coverage and things like that.
Gotcha.
And On3 is going to be more like big picture things, college football things, stories, stuff like that, which to me makes no sense.
They're just trying to monetize two different platforms that
Yeah.
could be combined into one.
And then you watch, they're going to up their prices to like, what is it for On3? Like probably $8-10 a month, and rivals probably around the same. So now you're going to probably pay double.
I don't really,
because they're not merging into one site. From what Shane and Terry said, they're going to be two separate sites owned by one company.
Yep.
From how I read his tweet, at least.
Yeah. I wish On3 members would get free access to rivals, but unlikely. I don't know if I pay for any of those. I think I might. I pay for PFF, but as far as recruiting, maybe On3. I don't know. I don't remember if I do or not. Actually, I don't know. I don't think I do. I feel like if I did, I canceled them all.
I can actually answer that question kind of. Shane and Terry did post an update.
Top recruits of all time listed at the bottom of somebody's site, Hell Varsity. I think there have been so many, yet recruiting rankings didn't popularize to the 90s. I'll take the 95 team against anyone. Yeah, only problem against that is athletes are bigger, faster, stronger nowadays. But like, if you're talking like, let's talk about like even playing field. If we're talking about like dominant of their era, and like that's how good that team is, and you know, it's kind of like level the playing field out, right? And make it like assume each team is kind of like in the same year, just use their level of dominance. Is basically kind of listing the greatest team of all time. And I think, yeah, Nebraska is definitely the greatest team of all time. We'll win that for sure. For Osborne's time, fellas like Rozier would have probably been 5-star, but he needed a year in Hayes to even become a partial qualifier. So
yeah, he was a JUCO guy.
Yep. All right, again, waiting for somebody to call in. We just need that one person to break the ice, man, and then people start calling in with just like no video required, audio. Just come in and talk about whatever y'all want to talk about.
Literally anything.
Yeah, Pit Snipe.
Anything you want.
If y'all don't call in, Pit Snipe will call in and talk about literally anything. So y'all better save that. They're not on the sauce like the 90s, so it balances out. Are you? I mean, we're in 2025. I think a lot of people are on the sauce nowadays. To be honest,
it's just maybe it's legal sauce.
No, kids these days, 16, 17-year-olds. I don't think a lot of these, you know, players in D1 are, I don't think. But you get 16, 17, 18-year-old kids on that stuff now. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, these kids nowadays are getting like absolutely huge.
Yep. But just oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying Jackson Cantwell is like what, 6'8", 6'7", and he's probably 310 already. Like, what are they feeding these kids?
Exactly. Just a little bit more about kind of what I have in my notes about Trey Taylor, watching a little bit of his film before the stream. Just for those of you that haven't seen it, just like I talked about, really good arm strength. I have multiple times in here. Echoing. Here we go. Leave Brian.
Oh, get out.
Kick rocks. All right, StreamYard's being ridiculous again. Okay. Anyways, let me go back to my notes over here. So yeah, arm strength, really good, impressive touch on his ball. Just needs to be a little bit more consistent. Again, really good with his feet, really good with his balance in the pocket, whether he's within structure, whether he's outside of structure. Operates best, of course, in the pocket. Let me go and pull Brian back in here. Welcome back, sir. Thanks for ruining everything. No, really good kind of football IQ for his age. You know, seems to be kind of a guy who probably spends a lot of time in the film room. But he's a guy you can tell works hard, but a little bit of a dual threat kind of potential there. I mean, he'll be able to move the pocket and move pretty well. So, and like just with a quarterback that's going to be moving around the pocket, you know, want to bulk up a little bit more. But again, very, very young. But the thing about it is he's had another thing about the peer recruiting that is, is helpful is he's interacted with another thing that people don't think about. I feel like is he's interacted with a lot of other top rated recruits going to, these other schools, and meeting a lot of these guys too. So, as a sophomore, already built that relationship kind of with those guys and is able to start recruiting for the future now. Raiola had a jam-packed short amount of time to kind of get that peer recruiting in for that class. And so it's going to be fun to see what these quarterbacks can work with down in the future, because those are the best people to recruit, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. Did you see the video he posted later after he committed?
Oh yeah. Let's pull that up actually.
I've got it if you want it.
Yeah. Go ahead and pull it up. Share your screen.
Which tab am I in here?
Let's see. There we go. Full screen that.
Yeah, I'm going to full screen it.
Go.
Ready?
Go.
Yeah.
My name is Trey Taylor, class of 2027 quarterback, and my future home will be the University of Nebraska. Go Big Red. I started playing football, flag football, when I was 3 and 4. Started playing tackle football when I was 5 and 6. That's kind of when I really started to love it, just the contact, physicality.
I have always seen something special in Trey, even when he was a baby. He was very active even before he could even walk. His legs were always moving.
It is truly...
I don't know if that music's copyright or not.
Good point.
So, but I do want to pull up the actual, for those that didn't see it, I want to pull up the actual commitment as well. So I'm going to share screen here too. Yeah, you never know, bro. YouTube will strike us down for a lot of stuff. All right, here we go. Here's the commitment.
I've been waiting for since I was in 7th grade.
You turned up.
When I got my first offer. I'm going to stay home and go to Illinois.
Bro, watch dude to the left side of the screen here in the brown. Dude didn't know what to do. He's the only one that started clapping.
I've been waiting for
since I think he surprised everybody with that.
When I got my first offer.
There.
Watch this guy. He wasn't in on the decision.
I'm going to stay home and go to Illinois.
Look at that clap.
Did you see his face?
That awkward hesitation there. That was great, though. That awkward hesitation, his clap. He's like, okay.
This was like, oh, shit.
Everybody clapping now. All right. Let's go through the comments here. Working around a bunch of SEC and Big Ten guys, and then now he's glorious. Oh, Cole made it in. And this time with video. What's going on, Cole?
What's up, fellas? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right. First of all, I want to say that you guys put on a spectacular show. I appreciate it. This is the first time I'm actually tuning in live, because I usually am at work during your guys' live streams. But first of all, I wanted to piggyback off of something Brian said earlier, and that's that Trey Taylor. He's a catalyst. He's going to be a catalyst for this 27 recruiting class. I believe he's the first one in the 27 recruiting class, correct?
Yep.
That's so huge, because he's a borderline 5-star quarterback. I mean, you literally have your centerpiece of this recruiting class beyond a year out of when the class is really going to start kicking off. So that's going to leave plenty of time for Trey Taylor to really gain some momentum with the recruiting class. But I want to know your guys' thoughts about that specifically.
Brian, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I was going to say, he's going to be a lot heavily involved in the class of 2026 too. I read earlier today, he's already he's already phoning people from the class of 2026 and 2027. I believe he's already contacted like Nasir Rankin is one of them, which is a big time recruit in 2026, if I'm not mistaken. There's a big defensive end / tight end. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he visited last weekend. He's a borderline 5-star from, I believe, Oklahoma or Texas. And they visited last weekend together, and Nebraska's actually recruiting him to play both tight end and defensive end. And they've already been contacted with TRAE, the 2 safeties / corners from Oklahoma that are both high 4-stars that visited last weekend. They were taking notes together. They're already talking about potentially all teaming up. I mean, he's like, I think that's what last weekend was he was peer recruiting his ass off for every single dude. And Dayton Raiola was there last weekend too. So you had both your quarterbacks for the next 2 years peer recruiting all these elite 4-stars. Valdon Stone was in town last week too. That's like the number 1 defensive tackle for the class of 2026. I'm sure they're going to reach out to guys like Titan Davis, who's a borderline 5-star in 2026. Terry Braden was there to visit him earlier today, actually, too. So it's going to be huge. Nebraska, I'm not even kidding you. This time in 2 months from now, Nebraska's going to have like 12 to 15 commits, and it's going to be a shitload of 4-stars. That's what I'm projecting.
Yeah, my thing on it is this. It just, when people have talked about over, the last couple of years, people who hate on Nebraska or whatever too, talking about Matt Rule being successful and then going elsewhere, going back to the NFL, doing this, that, the third. He talked about last year in a press conference how he wants to have a Tom Osborne type of legacy, here. And so we're seeing him invest in that. I think that's the biggest thing, is start to see his vision come together, and how that family vibe that he's been building with each of these players he brings in and stuff like that, how that's kind of building these recruiting classes and allows them, these guys are so close. I think a lot of players come on and see that and buy into that. And I think that's why we're in a lot of these, recruiting battles that we are, they feel welcome, they feel at home. But yeah, he's making that vision long-term. And I think players want to be a part of that, because they know, if they're part of Nebraska's resurgence, they're going to be held in very, very high regard for the rest of their careers, or the rest of their lives in Lincoln. So yeah, Matt Rule's talked about before. He wants them to kind of, he wants to have a career where they think about building a statue in front of Memorial Stadium of them. So it's nice to see that vision come together, because there's been some struggles over the first couple of years seeing that.
Can I pull up a graphic real quick of our top recruits?
Yeah.
Give me a second here.
And,
Go ahead, Cole.
And the best way to do that is really through obviously through quarterback. It's probably the number 1 most influential position in football, and you already have that piece there for the 2027 class. And we get a piece that we didn't quite get with Dylan Raiola, and getting Dylan Raiola late in the process was great and all, but you missed out on a lot of the peer recruiting portion for his class that thus you're going to get with Trey Taylor. So I think that'll actually be really significant with our recruiting classes going forward as well, because not only does it affect the 2027 class, but you're also going to think you're going to get good receiving recruits and other maybe offensive line recruits and just better recruits in general with the 2026 class, with him committing this early as well.
Even portal targets, future portal targets. One more thing to piggyback before you dive into that, Brian. Yeah, just think about good point. Just think about this. Like, if he had more time to work on peer recruiting David Sanders, for instance, like that's a game-changing level of recruit. You give him a little bit. Now that's something that getting these quarterbacks this early, they're going to be able to work on those guys for a couple of years, because think about how quickly Nebraska had to work on David Sanders. So but anyway, Brian, what were you?
Go ahead, Cole.
And with what's that, Jordan Seaton for Colorado? If you remember, Dylan committed, and right there at the end, he was trying to get in Jordan Seaton's ear about coming to Nebraska instead. And obviously, it was kind of a little bit too late in the process. But just imagine if we had a Jordan Seaton kind of guy right there at tackle right now.
Exactly.
That's what we're hoping Pritchett's going to be, if he develops like what the recruiting rankings say he should have been developed by. I mean, we just talked about it on Tuesday. He's already an early projection as a first-round pick somehow, but
that's crazy.
That's crazy. But yeah, looking at this board, this has obviously changed a little bit since I put it together, but like a guy like DeStephen Walker, he's from Kansas City, Missouri. That's not far from where Trey is from. And DeStephen has big ties to Jamar Mosey, obviously from that Kansas City area. Jamal Rule, another running back, he's from North Carolina. Those are like the first two running backs you're going to probably look for Trey and Dayton to really start pushing to get a commitment from. Offensive line, this is a loaded room with a bunch of high three, a bunch of 4 stars. Like Rex Waterman, you feel pretty good about right now. Ryan Murray from Miami, Florida, like you're on the horn with him like within the next week or so if you're Trey Taylor and Dayton Raiola, because he's a true center and you don't have much behind Justin Evans-Jenkins in 2 years unless Sam Sledge develops a little bit quicker. Hayden Ainsworth is a consensus 4-star offensive tackle / guard with Nebraska ties. That's a guy that Trey is going to go after. Jax Tanner is a borderline 5-star, probably favoring Oregon right now, but like that's a guy you may be able to pull with the help of Trey Taylor when you have these big nationally recognized quarterbacks like Trey. And that's like what Cole was saying. It's what we missed out a lot on with Dylan because he committed so late. Camden Jensen's coming to town. Lincoln Watkins, Luke Sorensen, those are big, legit tight end, all consensus 4-star recruits. That these are guys that he's going to need to have the block for him as an inline tight end and catching the ball out from a tight end as well. And these receivers, holy smokes. Ryan Mosley, like Nebraska's already in a good spot. You're probably going to be in a better spot here in a couple of weeks. Jabari Brady, Jacob Eberhardt, consensus 4-star recruit from Missouri, not far from Trey Taylor. Nebraska's out to see him today. We just said Nasir Rankin's already been talked to. He's from Chicago, just like Trey. Come with me to Lincoln. That would be my sales pitch. Jaden Warren, big time receiver. I didn't know Nayland Scott. He just committed to Arizona State, but like these are all guys like consensus 4 stars, top 250 recruits that Nebraska already has a very legit chance to get. And now you're adding Trey Taylor, who is going to recruit his ass off because he needs dudes to block, catch, run, all that crap. Yep. This is huge that he's committed this early.
And it's a snowball effect, right? Each of those players you get has a different connection. You know, each single player you get at the top level, you know, those guys want to team up together. All these guys are friends. These top recruits know each other. You know, a lot of them are going to like to team up together. A lot of them like to follow each other places. So it's one of those things that's going to snowball into more and more. And that's why it only takes one. You know, I talked about it last year with Nebraska getting momentum on actually getting 5 stars to campus and being in their final. That's something we weren't doing in recent years and recent decades even. So that was kind of building that, and just how quickly, you know, it's turned the page now to where it's Nebraska's legitimately in on a lot of these future 5-star guys. And then, you know, from there, it's just, it only takes that one, and then it snowballs from there.
Yeah. And with Trey Taylor, the best thing I think about getting him specifically early on in this class is in the whole peer recruiting aspect as well, is you guys know probably from my X account that I'm a big in-state recruit kind of guy. I think that in-state recruits typically bring a certain attitude with them. Well, to me, I think Trey Taylor is an in-state type of guy. Just from watching his video and paying attention to him on social media and the way he carries himself, he's going to be a guy that's going to have tremendous passion playing for Nebraska. That's one thing I like. He's going to have incredible work ethic. He's obviously got the social skills and the networking to be able to reel in big-time guys. But, like, at quarterback, you want a leader. You want a guy that's going to, you know, walk the walk and not talk the talk necessarily. You want a guy that's going to lead by example. And everything that I've seen from Trey Taylor, like, he is work ethic. He is a leader. He's going to bring these guys. He's going to give it his all to the University of Nebraska, kind of like what an in-state kid I feel like would do. And that's got to be something that's, like, for all Nebraska fans, is like very reassuring for this class and just Trey himself going forward and what he's going to be able to put into this program.
Yeah, he's going to be a star just on alone his ability. And one of the things, like you mentioned, that really kind of gives an indication that he's, like, you know, kind of a player who might have that chip of an in-state player is, like, he's already taking the time to kind of interact with the fan base on X. Like, when we posted our call-in show, was it you posted the call-in show earlier, like, 2 hours before his commitment, like he liked that post about, the call-in show tonight and stuff like that. So like he's out like interacting with the fan base, talking, to Husker Nation and stuff like that. Taking the time to do that shows that he's kind of already passionate about, being here and that he truly wants to be here. It's not something he's using. And I think that's another thing we got to factor in is what do these kids do after they commit? And I think that shows kind of where their loyalty lies. Is it a kid that we can maybe expect to be a little finicky? Is it somebody who's investing right now into Nebraska and the future of Nebraska? And I think that's a very telling sign.
The big thing too with Trey, like I think I said this to you, maybe it was on our live show on Tuesday or maybe it was off the air, but he reminds me a lot, like his mindset reminds me a lot of Dylan, just the amount of preparation. Like in that video we were playing before, we probably had to pull it for copyright reasons.
He's a film guy, you could tell.
Yeah. His coaches are talking about him getting up at 4 a.m. and he's been doing this since he was in like 6th grade, 7th grade. Film study, breaking down coverage, is grinding on the practice field. It's the epitome of what you want from your quarterback, just a film junkie.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And they talked about this offseason. Raiola's first in the building in the mornings, like 2 hours before everybody else or 2 hours before he has to be there, preparing. Mm-hmm. Preparation is everything, especially in modern college football. College game is getting tougher and tougher. They're starting to mix things up more like the NFL. And so the leap from high school to college is a big leap. And we're seeing that more and more. And a lot of these modern college quarterbacks, it's become, again, super difficult to start and be successful as a true freshman. And so a guy who can come in prepared and that is going to do the work, because the thing is they only, they work with them in practice on what they have time to work with them on. The rest is up to the players. And they gotta do that, or else they're not going to develop at all. They have to, and the ones that put in the most work out, it's not what they do out in practice. I mean, partially, but the big payoff is what they do, and the big results come from what you do when you're not at practice.
Which is going to happen a lot for Nebraska here, because spring's over. You got a couple months of summer. This is really like winter conditioning, and the summer are where your gains are made, really.
Yeah. Yep. Cole, anybody you like on this from the 27 or the 26 targets here that you've had a chance to look into?
Let's see here. I like the how do you say his name? Walker DeSafon.
Yeah, that's good as guess. Your guess is good as mine.
DeSafon. I like
Something
him a lot.
Like
I think his tape really pops out to me.
Yes.
Really, let's just, with I know these guys are kind of ahead of where Trey Taylor is going to be, but like if we can keep getting guys at receiver like a Cortez Mills and Isaiah Mosey, I think this program is truly under Matt Rule, and especially with Dylan and TJ Lateef and Dayton Raiola and Trey Taylor, I think this program is truly on the rise. If we can continue to get athletes that will make it easier on these talented quarterbacks, getting them the ball. I mean, these guys are going to get them the ball. The next step for that is going to be, can these athletes do something with it? Obviously, we've seen in the past 4 or 5 years us be able to get the ball to our receivers, but sometimes the talent on the outside hasn't necessarily been there. I certainly feel a lot better going forward with guys like Ja'Cory Barney and Cortez Mills and Isaiah Mosey. So for me, it's going to be, can we get the pieces that are going to end up, doing the work with the ball once it gets to them, that's going to lead us to even further success with a talented quarterback room. That's kind of what I'm interested in seeing. I like the direction we're trending in with all of that, but and obviously with now Trey being in the fold for the 2027 class and being able to peer recruit, let's keep that going is my biggest thing.
Yeah, and I think to your point about the receivers, it's becoming increasingly clear that, like, you have to almost have, like, Nebraska has not had, outside of Trey Palmer, but even with Trey Palmer as a deep ball threat, they have not had that guy that they can go to that's sure-handed on third down, on fourth down. They haven't had that guy. They have that in Dane Key this year. And, that gives them an opportunity then to continue to recruit for that guy, whether that be Cortez Mills, like Keenan Allen type of player that you can always trust to go to with the ball. We just have not had that. And just even having that alone as a safety net for the quarterback goes a long way. And it's somebody he can look to, like, all the years of Texans suck, DeAndre Hopkins. That was just his role, was get open, find space, find green grass. And it's an offense. Speaking of Dana Holgorsen, somebody talked about, isn't Holgerson's contract for 2 years? I would imagine that we will be extending that between now and then for sure. So
yeah, pretty normal for assistant coaches.
That's another big part of it too, is just understanding that, like, now we have a true one receiver, and it's harder and harder to do a committee of little guys like they did at UCF and stuff like that.
Yeah, looking at this 2026 class, if I had to guess, like, who are his first skill guys that he's calling right now, we obviously know Nasir Rankin. The cool thing with Nasir Rankin, by the way, is he's a legit Power 5 basketball prospect. Like, he wants to play both, and that'd be good for Fred because he needs a point guard, and Nasir Rankin's a point guard. Nasir Rankin would be one of them. Jaden Warren's one. Ryan Mosley and Jabari Bray. Those are like those first receivers I'm calling if I'm him, because all those guys can come in day zero and make an impact next season, along with the guys who are currently here. You'd have a hell of a deep 7-man rotation at wide receiver.
Exactly. Yeah. Good rotation. Depth is also what we've done lacking.
Brian, you might need to tell Fred Hoiberg he needs a point guard, because he said he doesn't need one.
The way they run their offense, Rank Mast actually led the team in assists 2 years ago, which I thought was actually, I mean, that's not a bad thing. He's a good facilitator. They don't truly need a point guard, but when they get pressed, it drives me nuts. Seriously, like, when they're getting pressed, they have no idea how to handle it. It drove me nuts this year.
All right, let's see. Let's dive into some comments here. Oh, go ahead, Cole.
Justin, I was just going to piggyback off of what you said. You were talking about Dane Key, a guy that can really go get the ball. One thing to add to that, I don't know which defensive back in the spring that said it, but they were asked a question about which receivers were the toughest to go one-on-one with. And I forget who said it, but they said it was Cortez Mills and Isaiah Mosey was the true freshman. So if we already know that Dane Key is a one-on-one problem for defensive backs, having shown that in the SEC, just imagine how good Cortez Mills and Isaiah Mosey are going to be once they can get a college playbook down. That's what's got me excited.
Let me show you this real quick. This is a little film breakdown that I did of Dane Key. I just posted it on X back before he committed, December 11th. So just showing how you see right here, the breakdown, sells it with his hip, shoulders, attacks leverage, rips through to clear the hand, snaps off a sharp cut at the top of the slant. So just this little, lined up against the SEC MVP or SEC championship MVP right here. So watch him. It's third down, third and short, and he just needs to get past the stick. So they're looking for him here. So you see him there, sell vertical with his hips. He's going to snap this route off the inside, but you can see his hips are still outside and up the field to get that inside shade to the outside. Quick little snap of his hips and separates the hand without pushing off. That's one of the big things, just that little rip through, so he doesn't get a call, a push off, or anything like that. Creates that amount of separation just with his hips, being able to sell that outside so that way this guy can't, sit on the inside on this in-breaking route, trying to force him up the field to the sideline. And then great catch. Make sure that he gets both hands on the ball, gets the first down, falls forward. So just a short little clip kind of demonstrating, what we have there with Dane Key. And that's the type of guy that I'm talking about we can go to, on that third down. So just a lot of people probably haven't saw that. So
he's going to be a freak.
Yeah.
Justin, is that your pick for the next 1,000-yard receiver for Nebraska's Dane Key? How confident are you in that, if you would say yes?
Here's my thing. I feel like if this is an offense where there's an opportunity for a 1,000-yard receiver, yes. Dana's going to be spreading the ball out a ton. I feel like we got a lot of weapons, but I think I would give it, let me say this. I'm going to give it about a 65-70% chance that we see him as a 1,000-yard receiver, but I know for sure I feel like he's going to have about 10 touchdowns probably.
Yep.
So
I think was Tuesday we were like, you're going to have a handful of receivers that have 20 to 45 catches.
He's going to be a possession monster.
Yeah. Ja'Cory and Isaiah Danke right there. Those guys are all going to have probably at least 30 catches, you'd think. Harburg's another guy that's going to have 15 to 25 catches. You'd think Cortez Mills and Isaiah Mosey probably have another 15 or 20, maybe 25 catches. Like there's going to be so many weapons. And then you have to account for Emmett Johnson too.
Out of the back.
He's going to have, it's going to be like, they're just going to dice them up with so many different, like the skill position at Nebraska has just elevated so much in the last 2 or 3 years. It's remarkable.
Yeah. But definitely has the potential to be a 1,000-yard receiver, no doubt. All
right, fellas. Well, I'm gonna hop out of here. I'm gonna let you get to y'all show. You guys are doing a great job. Appreciate you having me. I'm gonna stay tuned in though. I'll be around.
All right. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Stay cool.
All right. Take it easy.
Yeah. Later, bro. All right. Good guess so far. We haven't had any crazies besides Pitt Snipe. So good insight from
the guy running from the cops this week either. So that's good.
Yeah. Good insight from Cole there. I like to hear his perspective on things too. It's good to hear his perspective. So that means why don't y'all go ahead and call in via the link down below. And just so y'all know, not sponsored by the ASPCA, but let me get this comment off the screen. Calling to sound off. Every call saves a virtual puppy, not real puppies. Again, I have to disclose that we are not allowed to sacrifice real puppies. So virtual puppies, but again, it's sad when virtual puppies also perish. So call in and sound off. Give your thoughts. Discuss the running back room. Let's talk about that a little bit. So
Cole would have been a great person to talk about that one. He knows a lot about Charmar Brown.
Yeah. And we kind of, with Charmar Brown, we kind of alluded to, the other day, how long it takes for him to make a decision. It's going to work in Nebraska's favor. So kind of had a correct understanding there just on Nebraska's odds of that happening. But in terms of just recruiting or in general, you could talk about the recruiting side of things, and then I'll talk about, and then we can both kind of touch on the running back room as it sits.
Yep, I'll pull that board back up. Here's your top targets right now. So DeStefan Walker, he's officially visited, unofficially, like maybe 2 or 3 times. He's coming in for an official visit on June 20th or June 6th, one of those 2 dates. And then 1B would be later. Jamal Rule. What's up?
I thought it was later, but I could be mistaken.
I have it on a different chart. I just don't have that chart pulled up. I've been tracking the OVs for months now, but he's for sure coming for an official visit. And then Jamal Rule is 1B. If either of them committed, they're instantly takes. He's like a low to mid 3-star right now, just depending on your service, but Nebraska's really high on him. Really big physical back. He's 6 foot, 210 or so, really high upside. Recruiting isn't quite like DeStefan's, because DeStefan's he's a consensus 4-star, so very highly sought after. Brian Bonner would be maybe their top target, but in terms of realistically having a chance, I would not consider Nebraska having a good shot with Brian Bonner. He's another consensus 4-star. They've been recruiting him for probably a year and a half. He announced the top 5. Nebraska's in it. Don't get overly hyped about that. I think he's probably going elsewhere. And then a couple of guys worth monitoring, or one guy is Demarius Yates. He's from DeKalb, Mississippi. But right now, just if you're focusing on certain guys, it's Walker and Rule. Those are the 2 guys you need to watch for. Yeah.
And, talking about just in general, and we had a bone-led corn-fed say Jamal Rule here. Not sure if he's talking about the guy that he prefers, or if he wants to know more about him. So let us know, bone-led, down below. So when talking about Nebraska's running back room as it currently sits, we talked about it at length a pretty good bit, but we can recap it just a touch. Because, looking at it is, again, very unheralded, celebrated as a running back room. Emmett Johnson, of course, gets all the praise just because we have a lot of unproven guys. But again, we talked about this before. The way we put it best is this running back room, if it lives up to its potential, will be really, really good. It's just a lot of unproven guys, and that's the only thing. If it lives up to its potential, and clearly the staff is not desperate at running back. We talked about Charmar Brown, how it wasn't likely we would get him. The longer it took, the better it looked. However, Miami was kind of, Nebraska was kind of playing, I think, backseat on that from early on, because I think, Brian, you had talked about he was considering Cal and Miami as the two schools to begin with, as the last two schools, and that
his recruitment was a little weird.
Yeah. And then so, we got Ives again. Me and Brian are a little bit different on him. Brian's kind of coming around a little bit, but kind of partially due to what I was talking about just now, where it's like the staff seems to be bought in on this room, and that lack of desperation, that lack of feeling like, and the thing is, Dana Holgerson's running this offense, and we for sure trust Rule. We for sure trust Holgerson and his evaluation of offensive talent. Again, he was the guy who came in week 1 when he got on campus watching the practice and said, why is Emmett Johnson not starting every single game? Why is he not touching the ball more? So he knows what he wants, and he likes what he has on the roster right now. And so I'm gonna trust that. But again, Quentin Ives is a guy that I've talked about for the last couple of years, and I think when he gets his opportunity, he's going to surprise a lot of people.
I'm going to pull up the roster right now for running backs here. That way everybody can kind of see what we're looking at, like in terms of what that room really looks like.
Mekhi Nelson, Quentin Ives, Emmett Johnson, Mekhi
the one
Nelson,
shocker there is Vincent Genatone got moved last minute from linebacker to running back, but good size, 10'5", 100-meter guy in high school. But that's your room. Yep.
and a lot of upside in Mekhi Nelson too. Mekhi's dad, pops in the show a lot, but honestly been, he sent me some of Mekhi's quarterback film too. I have to pull that up on the show sometime. But
one person missing on this list is Connor Booth. I couldn't fit it all into one screenshot.
Yeah, maybe we'll even see Mekhi, because he seems like a good fit for this offense, getting some experience this year as well. That's the one good thing about it being kind of an experienced running back room, is it could be a lot better than we even expect too.
Yeah. I kind of have this soft spot for Kenneth Williams, walk on from Detroit there. Not a big guy, 5'9", 190 or 180, as you can see. He's probably closer to 190 by now, but the dude is fast.
Yes.
He had that one kickoff in the bowl game, and he took out, he shot out from a cannon, real quick, good in space. Maybe he's a guy that has an impact. I think he's going to have an impact in special teams primarily, but we just don't have a whole lot here. We only have 2 legitimate power backs right now, bigger physical backs that would have a shot at playing. That'd be Quentin Ives and Connor Booth, more than likely, both in that 215, 225 pound range. I'm just really worried about the short yardage game. That's the only thing I'm worried about. But you can have a good short yardage game and not have a guy that's 230 pounds either. If you just have a dominant offensive line, who gives a crap if Emmett Johnson's 5'11", 200 pounds? They can create the hole. They can create the space. Yeah. So it's a concern, but it's kind of dependent on how this offensive line develops and where we think they can be. If they come out and they're firing up the ball and we're getting 4 or 5 yards of carry week in and week out, we're probably not going to be too worried. No, there it is. That's why I couldn't see it.
Oh, sorry, my fault. Yeah, I had that up. Jamarian Parker. Yep. And one of the guys that I wish we would have saw for another year, because I really liked how they were talking about him last year, and how he looked in the spring game, is Micah Mazuka's brother Maurice.
He was a smaller guy too. Yeah, he was 5'8", but kind of big, built. He was like a bowling ball more type of build. He would have been good to have in those short yardage situations too. But yeah, if you scheme it up correctly, you block correctly, you'll create a lane, you'll create a space that a running back, I don't care what size it is, can slip through. Small running backs have advantages in short yardage situations too, where they can find those little slight openings, underneath, or underneath the arms and in between those linemen and stuff like that too, or get them to the outside and, get a guy who just make a one cut, a lot of different things they can do creatively in that short yardage situations. But I still think that we have, I still think Quentin Ives will be that guy this year. And even Emmett. I mean, Emmett can make guys. Emmett's a master at making the first guy miss. Because in college, you have to make that's what Jamarian Parker does really, really well in his film too, is he's very good at making the first guy miss. And you have to do that. To break runs, you're going to have to always make that first guy miss at the line of scrimmage. And so Emmett is very good at breaking tackles, but he's good at breaking tackles not only in the open field,
I talked about this for the last couple of years. The way I describe it is like his feet, like in a phone booth. He operates well in a phone booth, meaning his feet, he doesn't have to move. His upper body, everything doesn't have to move. His feet can chop in one place, and it's just subtle foot feints, and he can get, an opening and create a lane for himself. Like, he's just that good with his footwork. And so he can make guys miss at the line of scrimmage. He'll be able to fight easily for, short yardage situations as well.
Yep.
So if a team has injuries during the year, can't they exceed the 105 or not? Yeah, they got a built-in mechanism for that. Don't they have like an IR type of situation?
Essentially, it's like you can carry 115. Well, this is if that ruling goes into play, which right now it's kind of
true.
Yeah. But let's operate under the assumption it does. You can carry 115 into fall camp, and that essentially is your IR. So if you got a guy that's going to be out, 2-3 months, slide him over that 115. The question we don't know is, can a guy on that IR be pulled down to the 105? We have zero answers on that. And I don't think we're going to have any.
No, we won't until they pass it or they don't pass it. Then we'll get the details of it. The coaches don't either. Matt Rule was talking about Big Ten Media Days last year, where it's just like, they still don't know a lot of the details of whenever they were even coming down with the 105 scholarship limit. Like, it took down to the wire for them to finalize all the details for the coaches to even prepare for that. So they can replace Fells in the IR. The question becomes, how many can we keep in our pocket? Yeah, exactly. Call in, y'all, so we can if we get a call on the show, we will keep it rocking and rolling. So y'all go ahead and give us a call in. Tank Dell, Holgerson, shorts guys, proven himself in the NFL. Also, Matthew Golden just went 23rd overall to the Packers. It was a Holgerson and Dykel shorts guy at Houston before transferring after the staff got fired. Yep, Tank Dell, the most recent success, and just kind of an outlier, an aberration in what he was able to do. Had a really gruesome injury. Honestly, tough for him to come back for that ever, but we'll see. But just what he was able to do at his size was unheard of. And the fact that he went in the NFL was as productive as he was when he was on the field. I mean, it just goes to show, like, Dana Holgerson's also a guy who will get recruits because he has put guys in the NFL, and undersized guys he has, and guys with maybe less physical attributes or less skill, he's able to put them in situations to be successful and grow and develop and, get a shot in the league.
Yep. They got a lot of success too at West Virginia. Pat Smith, Tavon Austin. I'm drawing a blank on a few other guys, but Holgerson has had a lot of success putting skill guys into the NFL. Now, like Tavon, completely busted, but he's arguably one of the best, I don't even know what position you'd call him, wide receiver, running back, hybrid player in the last 25 years.
Yep.
He was so freaking good.
Yeah, that was a crazy fun team to watch. Insane. Yeah. Good stuff. Cole did not know that. Encouraging. Is redshirt part of the 105? Yes.
Well, that's another thing too. They're talking about is just getting rid of redshirting and just giving every kid 5 years.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Makes sense. As well. Yeah, might as well. Spent only 1 year at Texas, spent more time with Holgerson shorts than he did at Texas. Of course, Horns will get credit for development always. These poor coaches got no clue just how they'll be allowed to form a roster next year. 100%. Yeah. How does all that 105, 115 IR deal with eligibility? I understand we don't know, but something to think about in the summer. What do you mean with eligibility in terms of, does the IR years count as an eligible year? I would imagine so.
Yep. Yeah, it will.
Otherwise, it would be pretty strategic to use that IR.
Oh yeah.
We got an 8-year quarterback coming in. Look out, baby. There's not a lot to know until the House settlement completes. Yeah, because they're gonna, just like, think about when we were coming up on the college football playoff, things were changing every single day. It felt like, small changes here and there, and then weekly there'd be a big change here and there. It's like they're going to be back and forth on trying to figure out the best way to do this. And of course, they're not going to come up with the best way to do this. It's going to be a terrible decision, and they're going to make up the worst way possible to come up with a way to kind of manage this stuff. But that's what we get from the NCAA. 8-year QB, we aren't far off. We aren't far off.
Miami had a tight end that was, what did he do, 7 years in college? The tight end at Miami.
What's his name for Indiana? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on their quarterback's name this year.
Oh man, he just got drafted too, but he was in college forever.
Gosh. 7 years. He was a 7-year QB.
Well, Javen Wright's going into 7 year, but he's also had like huge injuries and blood clots. Where that makes more sense.
Curtis Rourke, that's what it was. I can't believe, like, my ADHD, every time I try to think of something specifically, it just boop, gone from my brain. Here's what I don't understand. All I know is I was happy that Signetti got his ass whooped. I can't stand him. Here's what I don't understand. They want to limit roster sizes to due to it is supposedly given a competitive advantage having bigger roster, yet NIL does the same thing with all the money. It makes sense if you don't think about it. That's my logic on most things the NCAA does.
Less money to spread out between your players.
Yeah, but still, it's
or
like,
more, I should think. More money between less players.
A competitive advantage is something that's not, like, teams are just going to have that no matter what they try to do.
Came out, Texas is having, what, a $30-40 million roster this year?
The rich are just going to get richer.
Yeah, that's so broken.
Hey, Brian, I'm going to need you to dip for a second. I'm not going. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Let's all remember Stetson Bennett went to college for 7 years and still didn't graduate. Very good point. I did not know he didn't graduate. Y'all talk about the punter already. MD, yeah, I'll wait. And Brian about to pop back in, so we'll talk about it in just a second. But Jack McAllister, yeah, he with him, you know, we kind of talked about there was a reason why he left. Eckler really wanted to kind of go to more of that. He asked about the punter. Wanted to go to more of that, like, rugby Aussie style punting, and that's what Eckler wants in on his special teams, and so Jack didn't really fit that. So that's why it was kind of agreed upon departure of ways, best for both parties. Even though Jack was a great punter, there's just so many built-in benefits to having that Australian League rugby style punter that are going to really help. We kind of broke those down the other day.
Yep, that's MD Kozmund.
I mean, any talk about a guy specifically?
Well, they're gonna definitely hit up that Australian thingamajigger, what's it called, the Pro Australia or whatever for punters. That's what I would expect. Probably, what is it, May 1st? You'll probably hear something here in the next 6 to 8 weeks. That'd be my guess for you, Mr. Kozmund.
Maybe you talked about it already. They take a running back now that Charmar went to Miami. It doesn't. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, they would have to be the
Nebraska offered. So,
They
offered $500K.
Yeah,
Nebraska was at $250. So
in Nebraska. So again, I just don't see the desperation there. So I don't necessarily. I'm not going to put my odds on them getting one. I just think it's going to be a matter of if the right one falls in the portal.
Yeah, you need a guy that's going to be proven, and he's not going to be a guy that. Do you want to pay $500K for a backup running back? Is all I'm going to ask you.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so you're not getting a running back in the portal because they're all going to command ridiculous amounts of money. Brown, good player, is going to get paid $500K to get 6 to 8 touches a game.
Yep.
Nebraska is not going to pay a guy $500K to get 10 to 15 touches a game.
The fan base should be very happy.
No sense.
The fan base should be very happy we didn't get Charmar because of that reason.
Yeah. Damon Benning flat out said, like, under his breath on the radio the other day, like, 500 and 250 were the numbers. Like, you're not even close in that point. And an extra $250K, and you get to live in Miami. You get beaches and babes. No state income tax. Not bad.
You can fall off over there. He's dead to us. No, it's fine. Boise State punter went to Oregon. Have you talked about any big dogs? Trey might be. Oh yeah, we just did. We did a whole breakdown. Trey might be getting working to get in either 26 or 27 class. Do you want to just recap the big names there for him?
Yes. Let me pull that thing back up real quick.
There's the old lady Tanisha Lee in here, Brian.
Hello.
I'll be surprised if they don't take an O-line or D-line. Yeah, just a quick recap, though, CB. Go ahead.
There's your guys. So, DeStefan Walker, Jamal Rule for sure. Brian Bonner's probably going to get a phone call or a text message, I'd imagine. But Nebraska's really more in on DeStefan Walker and Jamal Rule. Rex Waterman, I think, is going to be in regardless, but he's probably going to contact him. Ryan Murray for sure. Hayden Ainsworth, Jax Turner, Cloud Mapuma, Kelvin Obo, Malachi Lee, Deacon Schmidt, Matalia Benjamin, Moses Sparks. Those are the main guys on the offensive line. At wide receiver, you're looking at Mosley, Jabari Brady, Jacob Eberhardt. He's already talked to Nasir Rankin. They're both from the Chicago area. Nayland Scott, he might get a phone call. Nebraska will probably pursue him, even though he just committed to Arizona State a couple of days ago. And Jaden Warden, who's probably one of my favorite wide receivers. Him and Jabari Brady and Ryan Mosley are like my top three if I had to like give a pecking order. But all these dudes are freaking good. And then they're going to very likely get one, if not two, of the three tight ends between Camden Jensen, Lincoln Watkins, and Luke Sorensen. I would probably, if I had to put money on who he's contacting first, it's Camden Jensen, because he's coming in, I think, June 6th for his official visit. And he's probably their number one tight end right now.
Yep. Cornhusker Cole wants to know who's the handsome guy in Tanisha's profile picture.
I have no idea.
All right.
That was our wedding day, so I better look good.
There's the link to StreamYard. If y'all want to call in, we're going to keep this going maybe 10 more minutes unless somebody calls in. So we need your calls to keep this going. Otherwise, it just turns into a second live stream. So somebody hit the line. Let's talk about something. But I did want to bring something up to you. Your thoughts on the Shedeur Sanders prank call, the fine being levied to the Falcons and to the defensive coordinator. You know, other players were prank called as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm going to try and dance around this as much as I can here. If it was anybody else, they're probably not saying anything.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, getting your number retired or your jersey retired. Like if it was Bob Joe, they're probably not retiring that number. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There was who was it? It's an offensive lineman, I believe. He said he got prank called 5 times.
Yep. That's what I was. So,
and there's multiple instances like this, and no one's batting an eye. Mm-hmm. It's only a big deal because of who it is. It's Shedeur. My wife was asking me the other day. She's like, "Who is this Shedeur guy?" And I like, don't like it. Keep it at that.
Yeah, he's just I'm not gonna elaborate. But yeah, my thing on it was, you know, his son got off the iPad, but I just think it's one of those things. Like, of course, it's because he's a Sanders, so everybody's talking about it. And also, I wonder if part of it's humans just being visual creatures, and the fact that we saw both ends of it. You know, yeah. There's a video to go along with the story. It's kind of like Ray Rice in the elevator. Nobody cared until the video came out. We're visual creatures. That brought a lot more attention to it as well, on top of being a Sanders. And then, of course, the trifecta of it being the Falcons defensive coordinator. I felt like the NFL almost felt like they had to do something. Yep.
It was wrong no matter what. I mean,
it was.
I'm not saying
I am totally against the prank call. I think I think it's just stupid. I think it's messed up. I don't care how much I don't like him. I just think it's messed up.
Yeah. I think what they did was pretty sick. I mean, that's like that person's, whether it's Shedeur or whoever, like that's the biggest moment, more than likely.
It's just a lame move. Like that says more about you than anything.
Yep. And Shedeur too, like the video of him, like you saw the video where he's getting the call and he's like, they're like, you got to wait a little bit longer, whatever. And they hung up. And he's like, what does that mean? And like, as much as I dislike Shedeur, you could just tell he was like, what the hell's going on? Like you could tell he's a little bit hurt.
Yeah. Cause like, and then also like, you know, on the uncomfortableness of him and then having to watch it on the couch, you know, him saying, throw me the football. Cause it's almost like that's a gut punch, you know what I'm saying? And like, although he has an ego and stuff like that, like he's a person at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you trying to take that moment away from him on top of all that stuff that was already going on. I think it's a dirtbag move.
Yep. I 100% agree.
Something I would never do. Oh, Mike. Oh, Mike. We got to wait for him to connect his devices before he can pull them in. So would love to get Mike in here and talk to him. Oh, there he is. All right. Let's see. Big Mike, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
We're doing it fantastic.
Well.
Appreciate you calling in, Mike.
Yeah, so I was kind of curious what you guys is not necessarily keys for the season, but what's one thing you want to see improved most this year with the team?
That's I might name a few things.
Can we like just get rid of the obvious, like special teams?
Yeah, let's get rid of special teams. I think one offense and one defense. I'll do my offense first, and you can do yours. Offensively, I think it's going to be stretching the field vertically. We weren't connecting on the deep passes. When Satterfield was the OC, the route concepts made no sense. So there was no setups for the routes. There was just a bunch of deep routes being run with no rhyme or reason. So on top of our receivers being suspect at getting separation on the outsides. And then, of course, Raiola, just as the season went along, I think just his uncertainty in the pocket, he was missing balls long. It was kind of jumping out of his hands. So even in the Iowa game up until that, he was missing balls, long on receivers. So if we can bring that vertical threat to the offense, it's going to open up so much more for the underneath too.
Go ahead, Mike.
Sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say, I agree. I agree with what you said.
And
for
Brian,
me, I would say that would be one of my top things. For me, I would like to see a more complex or advanced or more variety within the run game. It seemed like, at least under Satterfield, like it was very simplistic in the run game. There wasn't a lot of diversity in the run game. So outside of like the very predictable play that eventually, always get blown up was the reverse to Jacory or the jet sweeps to Jacory. So I'd like to see more variety within that run game.
Okay. I guess for me, it would be a couple of things actually. One, and we improved on it last year, but there's obviously, we can always improve more. Can the line give Dylan Raiola protection long enough to survey the field? Mm-hmm. And two, can we start coming down with these 50-50 balls? More times than not lately, we've been dropping those and not making, whether it be a first down, whether it be 5 yards, whatever.
Yeah. On the point with the line, I've talked about this a little bit, and I've kind of pulled up some film, and I'll be breaking down film as we go along this offseason, more and more about Dana Holgorsen's offense. So one of the things that he, does well in terms of like getting the ball out of Dylan Raiola's hands quickly is just kind of establishing that rhythm early on, taking what the defense gives. So, even if you're throwing it 1 yard beyond the line of scrimmage, 2-3 yards, like seeing that ball get out of his hands and get into a receiver's hands and get the offense going. So you can hurry up if you need to, you start getting that rhythm. And that's what Nebraska didn't have in most cases last year. And the protection would just give in because, that we have 4 deep routes run down the field. Nobody has separation. And Raiola kind of lost some confidence in the pocket. But what we saw whenever Holgorsen took over is getting the ball out of his hands quicker, creating more openings, and the defense wasn't able to pin their ears back as much because, they had to sit and look for those little short hitting routes and stuff like that. It puts the defense more on their heels. And you saw that shine through just in how much more confident and poised he looked overall in the pocket.
Part of that too, like when you're hitting those short, quick passes and establishing a run game, if you're doing it consistently, those safeties are going to creep up at some point. Like they can't keep hanging out 10, 12 yards deep, or if not deeper than that, you know what I mean? And so that'll open up your deeper shots too. And I think last year too, Dylan struggled. It seemed like at times he was moving off his reads super quickly, and typically you read high to low, whether it's left to right, high to low, or right to left. But a lot of times your route concepts are designed deep to short routes, and he would look off real quickly. And then if he had held it for another half second, there would have been a guy wide open downfield.
Yeah, so just a little bit of a rush in kind of his processing. But again, over this offseason, the game will slow down for him more. And then Holgorsen, of course, makes his life way easier. And then another thing too is, with Holgorsen's offense, the play's not going to break down around him as much. So it's much easier on your linemen when you are operating within structure, because you know where your quarterback's going to be, you know where he's rotating to, where he's rolling to, as opposed to just kind of being there, blocking and hoping your quarterback can get the ball off and down the field, as they did early in the season with Satterfield. So there's so many things that I think are going to keep Raiola from getting put down this year. But of course, another big change is the offensive line improving.
Yeah, I was just thinking too. Like, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I was just agreeing with you. Yeah.
I was thinking too. Like back to that, I think it was the Illinois game. So big moment. We're in the red zone and we're on the left hash. And they called a play, I think it was on 4th down too, where they rolled Dylan out to the short side of the field, which was the left side of the field. And you had your routes flowing to that side, which is a normal play, but you're rolling out to the weak side, the short side of the field. I wouldn't be super pissed if Dana Holgorsen did that. I don't think he ever would, but it's just those little play calls. You're like, that concept made no sense to roll to the left side on a right-handed quarterback on the short side of the field. Like, that play probably works if they roll it to the right, where he's got more space.
Yeah. Mike, what's your what do you think on the defensive side of the ball?
Defense, I mean, obviously the defensive line, because we lost so much there. But probably my biggest thing is, can we quit getting gashed in the linebacker secondary position? Like, more times than not in the last few years, we've been getting, for instance, Gifford is 15 yards behind the play because he's getting run over by, I don't know, running back or whatever. And I don't know, it just seems like we don't have the speed back in that. The secondary, not necessarily secondary, but the linebacking core and whatnot.
Addition by subtraction is what we're going to probably find out this year, because Gifford, we talk about it a lot, but you have guys like Gifford whose eyes, I just think Gifford is used to being that, maybe one step forward downhill type of player. I just don't think he was a really good fit for his role in this defense. He wasn't quite quick enough, athletic enough, and didn't really have the eyes and the discipline to be able to play. A couple of our safeties didn't, to be able to play that middle third or deep halves, because they would easily get tricked on simple route concepts that were designed to draw their eyes in, make them take a step forward, and next thing you know, you got a guy busting down the right hash. And they bit on those a ton. And now that we're getting some of these guys that are a little bit more athletic, a little bit quicker to put back there, we got some more lengthy guys and more experienced guys and guys that have been developing a role. I think we're going to get a lot less of those big time deep plays gashing us. I think it's going to be a little bit more, and with Butler schemes, I think it's going to be a little bit more of making them kind of nickel and dime their way down the field. I think the explosive play rate against us is going to go down a lot.
Yep. I think too, you're going to have guys actually playing in position. Buford is not a corner. He's an okay corner, but he's better off at safety. Same thing with Malcolm Hartzog. Better safety, probably a better nickel corner too. Than he was. He was playing a lot of outside last year too at times, but he's working both at nickel and safety. I think he's going to eventually stick with safety. But just when I look at Nebraska's roster and specifically the defensive backs, the length is the first thing that jumps out. There's so many 6'1", 6'2", 6'3" corners that are guys that run like 10.2 to 10.6 100 meters. There's so much speed and athleticism, where last year there wasn't. I mean, I don't know what Giff ran in the 40. It was probably like a 4.45 is what I heard, but just like the game speed and the game sense was not there with Giff.
Yeah, recovery speed don't matter if you are a step, take one step inward while a receiver's blowing by you, not going to recover on guys with that speed, Big Ten receivers especially. So
yeah.
I will say I think we're going to be a lot more aggressive though with Butler, just a little bit that we've seen in like the bowl game and some of the little practice videos and stuff we've seen.
A lot more aggressive,
a lot more blitzing,
and our defensive backs are going to play a lot more downhill. That's our new DB coach. That's the way he kind of he has this edge to his defensive back room, and John Butler is going to take advantage of that. We're going to be playing downhill, but it's because I think it's a lot of times because we're going to trust this defense, and they trust the dudes that they have on this defense. I think they feel like they can get a little bit more risky. A lot of times last year, getting beat deep, we could not really kind of have those DBs creep in. We really couldn't, play around with stuff at the line of scrimmage a lot in terms of looks with our secondary defensive backs. Now that we got, a little bit more of a stable of guys, we got some, different, more versatile guys. They're going to be able to be a lot more, for instance, Iowa, the year before last, that deep touchdown they had on us, that one big play that they had throwing over the top, because they creep their defensive backs down. And, so that's the risk you take with that. And Nebraska was getting beat deep already, so we couldn't take that risk.
Yep. A lot more.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a lot more advanced coverages. That's what I said on Tuesday. Just a lot of seniors, a lot of upperclassmen in that secondary. I have to imagine they're a little bit more complex with their coverages. And on top of that, too, like I'm really big on Dasan McCullough and Javen Wright on the field at the same time. Both are converted safeties that are playing linebacker that have speed and sideline to sideline ability. That's where I think they can get very unique with their coverages, because either guy can come off the edge or drop into coverage, and they're 6'6", 240.
Dasan McCullough is the key to that. He is unbelievable at, again, I posted a little film review of Dasan McCullough. That was all 22 broadcasts, or all 22 from the press box, and ESPN claimed it as their footage, and I had to delete it. But it was goal line stand against Texas, where one of the plays he gets down the line of scrimmage and is able to tackle him on 1st and goal. 2nd and goal, they try another little play to the outside. He's patient, works his way out, gets the tackle, and then they try on 4th down, I think it was. They had a one-on-one Xavier Worthy pressed on the outside. They had Dasan McCullough right on the outside, just shaded a little bit to the outside of the tight end, or the end man on the line of scrimmage. Just a quick throw to Worthy, and the DB was able to kind of stand him up, but Xavier Worthy was trying to give a push forward. He was able to slide over and take his legs out almost split second away from that. So his athleticism, his length, he can cover some space quickly.
Yep.
One more thing, and then I'm gonna head out because I got to go take care of my kid. But
yeah, no worries.
The one thing on the defensive line that I am going to be watching pretty close, I want to see, because he was pretty good as a freshman. He was injured last year. Cameron Lenhart.
Oh yeah.
I want to see now that he's healthy, can he get to the quarterback this year?
He will.
It didn't seem like he got there much last year, but he didn't play a whole lot either.
It was weird how they used him last year. I felt like he underplayed a lot.
Yeah.
I expect a good year. I expect a really good year out of Cam Lenhart. I've been a fan. Like, just listen to the kid talk. Like, he is a mature beyond his years type of guy, and is a guy that you can instantly seeing as a leader out there. I think he's going to step up and hopefully utilize correctly, but I think he will be utilized a lot better this year.
Right. All right. Well, thank you guys for taking my call.
Yeah, of course, man. And thank you for all your support, man. I appreciate everything you do to help support the channel, man. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, Mike, take care, brother.
You too. Bye.
All right.
Mike has been scrolling along the bottom there. Mike has been a member for
a minute. He gifted a lot of memberships too. So
yeah, he's been a member for, it doesn't say, but I think it's like 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months for Mike. He's been a member a long time. Same with MD.
Awesome. Yeah. Appreciate all of the people who are members on the channel. Again, we're going to have member only content coming soon. We just need the members, a few more of the members to get up, and then we'll be doing some stuff like that. Oh, we got Justin calling in. Justin, what's going on, my man?
Can you hear us?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, Justin?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Hold on.
Okay. Let's see. I'm just filtering through some of the comments here.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can connect my headphones for some reason.
Hey Jay, how's the whole thing with using the all 22 footage? Just never heard the back end of it and what you got. So what it was, I'll explain this. And what it is broken YouTube copyright system. So essentially what happened was I posted the all 22 film review. Again, it's press box footage. It's hard to get. So it's like one of those things, you can't copyright it. And also I was, of course, giving commentary over it for educational purposes, film and all that, which you're allowed to do, even if it was ESPN footage. But they still copyrighted 13 seconds of my video. And as ESPN something, ABC broadcast, whatever, that's what they put it as. And so I didn't realize that when you appeal, YouTube never steps in. When you appeal, it goes back to the person who put the copyright strike on your channel. They get to make the decision. And then if you appeal again, then if they deny that, it goes straight to them again. If they deny that, you get a strike on your channel. You're like demonetized for 90 days or whatever. So I would have to take them to court for YouTube to step in, and I don't have the money to fight ESPN whatever in court. So yeah, it was kind of screwed up the way they did me. I had to delete a couple of my videos. Yeah, that was super frustrating. So yeah, they pick on small channels. A lot of people try to pick on small channels by doing that and trying to take their money from it.
Justin, time's yours. Hear us?
What? Can you hear us, Justin? Hello, sir.
Hello.
It might be. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. What's going on, man? What do you want to chat about?
Not much. I think everybody pretty much said about trade that I was going to say, but I was wondering what the teams that you think can compete with like top 3 in the Big Ten, who can give the like Ohio State and Oregon, Penn State the run for their money.
Oh, give them a push for their money. Looking at, let me see, the Big Ten as a whole, I really think, so here's my thing on this. I still think Michigan's like a year or so away from being kind of back where they were, but they always recruit well. They always have a lot of talent. I think USC is going to be pretty good this year. Let's see. There's not a ton, man. I don't want to put Nebraska, and actually I put Ohio State kind of in their own tier above the rest. So I think it's like Ohio State and then kind of like your Oregon and then your Penn State, like in those 2 and 3 separate tiers. And then kind of the field, but I don't feel like the field is that far behind like a Penn State type of team, just because what Penn State lacks in their receiver room and stuff like that. I mean, amazing on defense, but they just really don't have surefire weapons to go to. So offensively,
you don't think Ohio State will have much of a drop off if all they lost to the draft? Or
Ohio State has been the most consistent team in college football history. I find it hard to ever predict Ohio State fall off. So they're kind of one of those teams that it's like, because one of the things is, even though, let's say they lose some big names, they reload quickly, of course, but also the fact of the matter is they develop, those teams, I talk about this all the time, but not only do they get 4 or 5-star recruits, they develop 3 stars, better than other teams in the country. Like those teams at the top do that as well. So that's why we too will see these names that pop out of nowhere. Of course, they have the big names, but they just have this consistent track record of success and being good. So it's really hard to ever predict that they're going to take a big drop.
I'd be watching Michigan. They're playing really good, like the last 4 or 5 games of the year. Just their quarterback room.
The quarterback situation's not settled. I don't know what they're going to do, so it's hard to predict. I think Underwood gives them more risk, but also more upside.
Yeah.
Would you think Illinois would have a possibility of competing?
I think they just lack. Luke, I think he's still there.
And they also lost.
Yeah, I'm here.
But they lost Pat Bryant. Yeah, but the thing about them is what I feel like Illinois is kind of like Iowa light in the fact that Bielema runs a specific type of way that he's going to try to beat you the way he beat us, right? He's going to grind you out. But I just don't think, I think they lack the athletes to really compete with a lot of the bigger schools. I just don't think they have the depth of athletes to really kind of compete, for the top of the Big Ten. I like Illinois as a team. I really do. I don't think they have the athletes. I think if their upside is kind of what they did last year, I think that's kind of their top end.
Yep. The only other team, there's a lot of hype about USC. I don't understand why. I think Lincoln Riley is incredibly overrated, but there's a lot of media people that think they're going to be really good next year.
I think
they're kind of like in that prove it, like wait to prove it, kind of like we are. We want to see it before I'd say that they're going to improve.
I follow the Big Ten very closely because I've had a Big Ten show up for a while. USC's got a lot of talent. That's why people pick them. It's just, can they
don't execute,
put it together, right? So they're one of those teams that's really hard to peg each and every year. Like last year in the preseason, I was like, I'm the most 50-50 on USC because I have no idea. Year to year, just based off the talent they have, they can be incredible. But, recent history shows that, Nebraska's had for the last 10 years the 4th most talent in the Big Ten off the bus,
Yep.
but not finishing 4th in the Big Ten.
Yep. USC, They had Caleb Williams at one point who won a Heisman. They had 4 and 5 stars all over the field, and they went 7 and 5.
Yeah.
Yep. Which Nebraska did last year, and they had probably a quarter of the elite top talent based on recruiting rankings.
Yep. But yeah, that's
great.
also
We gave them money for their money. Should have won that game too.
I would probably put Michigan as the first team in the in the hunt, and then Michigan, USC. But I think Michigan is more solid. I think we know we're going to expect a higher floor from Michigan.
Yeah, I was talking to TJ from our Michigan channel yesterday, and we were just kind of talking about Michigan as a whole, and he was saying that their receiver room is awful. So that would be my concern if I'm a Michigan guy. What are we going to do at wide receiver? Because they haven't really attacked the portal much through wide receiver. And if you add in a true freshman quarterback, if we think Bryce is going to start, game 1's at Oklahoma. They're going to find out real damn quick how good they are. Because Oklahoma is going to be a team that's teetering between 6 and 8 wins. Maybe they'll get 9, but I think they'll be improved. And then they got to come to Lincoln a few weeks later. And Nebraska, what we think is bare bones 8-win team. Like that would be my expectation.
Oh, thanks for pointing this out, Cole. But I'm going to bring this up real quick. This is Luke Altmaier, Illinois quarterback, tweet here, and he says, "Well, let me go backwards." He says, "Cornball, no pun intended." So they seem to be a little upset in Illini country right now.
Well, Luke Altmaier, you're an overrated 8th-year quarterback. Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
It's like, is this your first recruitment video that you've ever watched of kid?
Remember Caleb Tanner?
He's coming after a 16-year-old. He's coming after like a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah, and he's 24.
The most unhinged recruiting situation ever was Javante Jean-Baptiste. With the snowstorm. The snowstorm in the morning. Remember when it got delayed, and in that time, Ohio State was able to convince him to switch his pick over to he was set to pick Nebraska. They were able to convince him to switch to Ohio State. I think that's worse.
Damn.
Well, if you remember, who was that Florida receiver? He was from Florida. His mom wanted him to go to.
Oh yeah, he was so mad.
She flipped out and stormed off the stage.
So
and I thought that was a bit, but that's probably the worst I've ever seen in terms of reaction from the people that are always in the crowd.
Yeah, but
some of those parents they'll fight because they don't. They're going to go to a certain place and they'll want to control the kid and
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Justin, tell me, Brian, can you back out, come back in?
Yep.
Justin, kind of like we talked about with earlier with Mike. What do you think is your picks for what you think needs to improve the most? Something maybe we didn't say on offense and defense.
I was going to say just like the routes that we need that need to be ran for passing
creativity offensively. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, create. So I'm going to pull on my end.
Oh man, I wish I had that GIF for this moment.
I know.
I lost it.
Oh, you didn't upload it in here?
I know. I was trying to. That's what I was trying to find before the show.
Oh yeah, you should have uploaded it as a video clip. Are you good, Justin?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, so okay. I got better route running and less plays that don't take as long to develop.
Yeah.
So
quick hitting routes, a lot. Yeah. On the defensive side, what do you think?
I think defense back room, which I think is already just going to improve a lot. So
Yep, I agree 100%. Shout out to Mike here though for $10. I appreciate Mike. Thank you so much, man, for your contribution. Super chats are always on, and we really, really appreciate it, man.
Thanks so much, Mike.
We're bad at asking for them just because we feel like we're asking for money. It just feels weird. Just like I'm bad at asking for likes too. That's why I try to save puppies now, virtual puppies. But no, all the contributions are appreciated. Even views, likes. No, we appreciate everything. So Michigan versus Nebraska will be huge measuring stick for us next season. If we win a while, it could be huge. If we lose, probably not a huge deal. We get blown. I think that's going to set the tone for the season. That's week 4, and I think we have a bye week the week after. that is a perfect situation to run into at home. That's the game I'm probably going to be going to this year. So yeah, that will be a huge measuring stick, especially it would be electric too if it's like Bryce Underwood versus Dylan Raiola, last year's top quarterback versus the year prior. It would be an electric game with all eyes on it, which would be even more of a catalyst to spark Nebraska, upwards in terms of everybody's view.
I got it right here.
What do you got? Oh there yeah, this is what we pull. We're gonna pull these up for super chats. Brian loves that guy. We need to identify this guy. We really do.
Whoever knows this guy,
yeah.
Every time you super chat, Mr. Cornhead or whatever the heck we're gonna call him is gonna come up and just.
What section does he sit in?
I have no idea. That looks like he's close to the rail there.
Yeah. So, all right. But anyways, yeah, thank you so much, Mike. Really appreciate your support. Appreciate you calling in too. Michigan will run and use the tight end. Trey put out an apology. Yeah. I would have been like, I'd like to take this time to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Yep.
I'm gonna hop on out here.
All right, Justin. Appreciate you hopping in, good sir. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Justin, always a good support of the show, man. Always appreciate him being in here, and always fun with y'all, man. One of the regulars, so can always count on him to be in here. That should say Michigan versus Nebraska. Yeah, no, we're gonna have to see the virtual puppies eventually. Y'all got to save them first. They're in the basement, dude. They're in the basement being held. I'm not gonna say that. I might get banned off the Cornhead of Doom. Thank you guys. I like the way you talk research football. I care about travel, work a lot, so I miss these. Hey, no worries, man. We appreciate you, man. Appreciate everybody. Like I said, that gets in here. We do this because we enjoy it. It's really fun for us to sit here and talk with y'all. So, we appreciate all the support and everything. So, we'll see if we can get another call in here. If not, we're probably going to move to conclude the show here soon. I want to pull up Trey's apology real quick here. Let me see.
Just imagine 2028, Trey Taylor dismantles Illinois and just says,
here it is. He posted a video again. Yeah, like you said, alluded to his character, but let's pull up the if y'all call in while I'm playing the video too, don't worry, that's fine. I'll pull you up right after, but it's short video. So
I want to start this video off with saying thank you for all the support I've gotten today. I did want to film this video to apologize to Illini Nation. Throwing the hat the way I did today during my commitment is not the way I want to be perceived. And, I know that was very disrespectful. And I really just want to get on here, and say that.
Crybaby Illinois.
Yeah, imagine abusing a kid that much on Twitter where he's 16. My Lord.
No, I won't leave that last part off. All right, cool. Sorry, I just wanted to poke fun at the fans of the Illini, because one of my good friends, Sonny Verma, and was also my co-host on the Big Ten show and the host of Locked On Illini.
That's ridiculous.
I like to pick on him. But I do like Illinois a little bit because their defensive coordinator shared. I did a couple of film reviews for a couple of their commits last year, and the defensive coordinator shared them. So I appreciated that. All right, one of these days, I'll see if I can get Crypto King in here. Yes, let's get him in here. November could be really fun or a tragedy. You got it, Pitt. Nothing like a good dose of anxiety. Yeah. Shout out to Trey for that. Papa Glizzy coming in. Exactly what I was thinking, man. Exactly what I was thinking. The Karens of the football world right now. His people still have to live there, him too, for another couple of years. Yeah, that's true. But still, it's crybaby. I mean, this has become one of the most normal things. Like, we expect hat tosses at this point. We expect it. So it's just.
I want to find Caleb Tanner's because his was wild.
I remember his. His was pretty wild.
His was like unhinged.
His was pretty wild. Yeah, pull that. See if you can find that for us. let me go ahead and see here. Let me switch this back up so people can call in. Can you all imagine Nebraska hosting a first round college football game?
That'd be wild.
That would be, you want to talk about an atmosphere. That would be something like we ain't seen before. No tragedy football, Nebraska football. Exactly. I saw a game by game point spreads. Each one in the conference is a toss up, except Penn State. They are favored by 20. Yeah, this far out, that's so like, it's like preseason rankings. Like, again, everything gets so jumbled up. Like, teams we're expecting to not be good or good. Teams we're expecting to be good or terrible. It happens every year. So, But yeah, it's good to know where they kind of see us like in the preseason, because I think what's our over under win total was like 7.5, 8.5.
Oh my gosh, Caleb has his pinned to his Twitter.
What happened? Oh, does he?
Yeah, he's got it pinned.
Still?
Yes, to this day. That's funny.
They're awful, but self-preservation with a free apology ain't faulting the kid. Yeah, I agree with you to an extent. I'm not one. I'm one to throw a middle finger at people and not apologize if it's something that ridiculous. I remember this. It's the pizzazz he does it with.
Yeah. That's the Nebraska hat. This was when I was like, oh man, we didn't get him.
Yep. And see ya. You notice he gently tossed that one.
Mm-hmm.
He's in Florida. He's like, get the hell out of here. Yeah, buddy.
Oh yeah.
That was fantastic. Love that. All right. So if we're not going to get any more calls, one more opportunity to call in here, and I'll dive into the last few comments. So get your comments in here while you got an opportunity. So let's see. Who has dreamed? Oh, talking about like who's supposed to return the punt and kickoffs? Andrew Marshall.
Yeah,
Andrew
that
Marshall.
would be my guess.
Andrew Marshall. So he's probably going
one.
to be designated to do that and maybe rotate on the defensive side of the ball. But yeah, he's going to be one of them for sure. I'm going to an MMA fight Saturday. Which one? Is it a big one? Is it kind of a local one? They're fun, man. Live fights are fun. I think Dana White put it the best when he's talking about, think about it this way, right? If you go out at a basketball game, right? Or let's say you're at a big arena and you got a NBA game going here, MLB game going here, NFL game going here, and you got a fight going on over here. Everybody's going to be watching the fight. I think that's the best way to put it. All right. All right, cool. So we're going to give it a couple more minutes to try to get a call in here. If we don't get anything, we are going to wrap up. If you don't mind dropping a like on the stream. Also, I'm going to drop the link for Brian's video he posted today of the commitment of Mr. Trey Taylor himself.
We will be doing a film review.
Yes, and I will be doing a film review that will be out probably tomorrow. So here's that link to that, and yeah, look out for the film review. I'll be breaking down the film. So the way this is kind of working, Brian's kind of the recruiting guy right now. He's big kind of into that side of things. I'm going to be more of that film review kind of breakdown football analysis type of guy. And we're both going to dabble in, I love recruiting as much as the next guy, but that's going to kind of be how we break this down. So I'll be doing the film for that. I'm late, but yes, no tragedy. MD, my bad. I knocked wood, turned around 3 times and spit after writing that. And bring it home, Pitts Night. Bring it home, Pitts Night. All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show. Again, if y'all haven't had an opportunity, go ahead and like the video, drop a comment on that. So you can support Brian's video from earlier. And again, look out for that film review we're going to have coming up. And appreciate everybody, again, your contribution to the show, whether it be if you like, comment, whatever you bring, we appreciate it. And to our Tuesday and now Thursday, you live viewers that are here consistently, we couldn't do it without y'all. Y'all help us keep this fun. So, Brian, anything before we head out?
Thank you, everybody, for the support. We greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Local Dynasty Sports Combat. Yeah, please do. I'm like, let's see. Again, thanks, guys. I appreciate you, MD. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Justin. Thank you as well. Pit Snipe, as always, man. Thank you, sir. Thanks for the stream. I appreciate you, Joe Schmo. And yeah, with that being said, y'all stay tuned for what we got coming up in the next few weeks, but we will see y'all in the next video. Peace.